Michael Duran. Let me try and put it together the way I see it. First of all, I think that we are in an unprecedented situation. I mean, the coronavirus, as portrayed here by Michael and to some extent by Javad, can also be seen as an opportunity, and definitely the regime is trying to turn it into an opportunity, both in order to put pressure on the Americans to ease the sanctions and in order to gain some solidarity from the public, because everybody has to fight this battle together, and so we are all in the same trench and fighting against it. Although I know that there is a lot of criticism in Iran against the regime because everything he's done and the cynicism that characterized its initial response to the virus. But definitely there is an effort to turn it into an opportunity. But basically it is a threat because it proves, just like Javad said, that they don't really care about the people. They don't mind if many people lose their lives. It was more important for them to show that they still keep good relations with China while everybody else was closing and putting an end to international flights over there, than to take care of the people. And that's something that is, I'm sure everybody in Iran knows. And this comes in the context of the sanctions, and this comes in the context of what Pompeo is saying about how they use the money that was earmarked for buying medicine. And this comes with the Soleimani thing and with the interception of the Ukrainian airplane and the way they handled that matter. And this comes with the steps taken by the FATF that actually blocked much of the activity of the financial sector. And this comes with the ongoing Israeli attacks in Syria and who knows, maybe also in Iraq. And this comes with the American attacks on the allies of Iran in Iraq. And this comes with the unrest in both Iraq and Lebanon, in which both prime ministers that were capable of delivering for Iran, especially in Iraq, had to resign. And we have now Zufri as a candidate for prime minister in Iraq, which is definitely something that's not to the appetite of the Iranians. A lot of things are happening. Many things are falling apart, and yeah, well, they may believe that the base is going to be on their side and stop the public from going to the streets in huge amounts once there is some easing of the pandemic. But they cannot be sure about that. It's a very dangerous situation. And we all saw what happened in Iraq and what happened in Lebanon. The crowds went to the street because the situation was not good, because they wanted Iran out. And they set a very problematic example to the people of Iran. And we saw the people of Iran in relatively great numbers going to the streets after the gasoline prices were raised. And so it's the regime cannot count on the fact that the people know that they shouldn't go to the street. It's something that you cannot count on. So and more than that, as Michael Duran said, there was an attempt to drag the Americans into some sort of an attrition war. The Americans somehow managed to escape that. They didn't respond to the attack in Saudi Arabia, not to Aramco, not to anything of the kind. And eventually, when they decided to take action, they actually killed the most precious asset of the Iranians, Soleimani, and left the Iranians with no real answer. So all in all, it's a situation where if you fail in turning the corona issue into the tool with which you change the situation, which is we are in the midst of this attempt, and Rob Malley, a good friend of mine, will be more than happy to help the Iranians on that, and so of course will Ben Rhodes and many others. But if the Trump administration, that's what it seems right now, is not willing to let it happen, if it is able to block the request for $5 billion from IMF, if all these avenues are going to be blocked, eventually the situation will become very dire. And I think it's a situation where there's almost no way out of, with the exception of this corona trick. And in a situation where there's no way out, the Iranians will look at several options. I think one of them, which is they keep trying, but in my mind is not an answer, is to gain something in the Iraqi field, hit the Americans in Iraq, force the Americans to limit their presence over there, lose some positions and so on and so forth. If they manage to do that, they can at least point at an achievement, and this will go very well with what Javad said. They resist, they fight back. That's they have something to sell to the people. For the time being, I don't see that this is actually working, and the people of Iraq still refuse to accept the Iranians, and it's the battle inside Iraq is going on. The Americans made it clear that they're not going to play the game. The attack on the Iranian militias is very clear, and we know what's happened over there. The other option that, in my mind, is very important is the one of the nuclear level, nuclear context that we didn't touch upon until now. The Iranians are moving forward very rapidly in accumulating enriched uranium to 4.5%, not to the 3.67 that was allowed up to 300 kilograms in the JCPOA, but now they are accumulating 4.5% enriched uranium. And they have everything working. They have new centrifuges they have developed that are working in small cascades. They have the old centrifuges working, including in Fordow. They are going to have enough material to start 20% or 60% or 90% enrichment within a short period of time. I think they are about today something like between 4 to 6 months away from having enough fissile material for a first nuclear bomb, or sorry, for a first nuclear device, if they choose to. And they are moving in this direction. They're shortening the time continuously. Now, everybody is worried about it, but nobody does anything about it. The IAEA reports about it. The Europeans have filed the dispute resolution mechanism of the JCPOA. The Americans are furious. Israel is shouting, but nobody is doing anything about it beyond that. And in the last meeting of the JCPOA, of the IAEA, no decisions were taken. And the option of the snapback of the JCPOA is not even considered by the Trump administration at this point, in spite of FDD raising the issue every second day. And this is something that is very dangerous, because the Iranians, if they're caught in the corner, they can decide, okay, nobody is really ready to fight with us because of all the reasons that were mentioned here. So let's try and make a dash to enough fissile material for a first bomb, and we have the know-how of how to turn it into a bomb, and this is going to be really dangerous for the entire world. It's a very dangerous option. The chances of success are small. The Americans have already brought 2 air carriers to the Gulf, maybe in order to send a message, don't think about that. But left without any other option, they may consider it. I think what we are going to see is choosing one of these options. If they fail with this trick of the coronavirus, and they fail with the Iraqi option, and of course there is also another option that we mentioned of repeating what they did in the previous round, hitting Saudi Arabia, trying to hit Israel. They did try to hit Israel. Israel foiled this attempt in the Golan Heights a couple of weeks ago. That's also an option, but it failed in the last time. There's no reason to believe that this time is going to be any different. Then they may go to the nuclear option, and because this is really a game changer. If they manage to get to the end point, it's a game changer. And so a lot of dangerous developments can happen if they do. If they fail to do that, because this is too dangerous, and Mickey is correct, and we shall see in a couple of months people coming to the streets, then even the option that was ruled out by all of us until now will become also an option, which is okay. It's we lose right now. It's out of the question because it's too humiliating and too dangerous to start negotiations with the United States. But if the people are about to go to the streets and there seems to be no other option, I don't rule out even that eventuality, although I agree for the time being it's a very low probability. So anyhow, it's a very dangerous and very unstable situation. It's a very vulnerable situation for Iran, and much will be decided, by the way, by the speed with which the disease is going to develop, because they are now where Italy used to be in 2 weeks ago. But look what happened in Italy in the last 2 weeks. So it's if this is the speed in which it's going to develop, this is going to be very dangerous. Questions?